If your grandma's remedy, steeped in tradition and passed down through generations, suddenly looks like a threat, you're not just imagining things. You're witnessing the subtle, yet deeply entrenched turf war being waged in the world of modern medicine. This isn't a simple debate between old ways and new science. It's a complex battleground where ancient wisdom clashes with modern economics, where the health of the public intersects with the health of the bottom line. Welcome to the economics of healing. If this resonates, please like and subscribe for more. Before we delve deeper, a crucial disclaimer. This exploration is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making any decisions about your health or treatment. Our goal here is not to prescribe, but to understand the powerful, often invisible forces that shape the choices available to you. To understand this conflict, we have to follow the money. And in the pharmaceutical industry, the money trail begins with one powerful concept: the patent. Big Pharma's business model is built on the discovery and development of new, patentable drugs. A patent grants a company exclusive rights to manufacture and sell a drug for a set period, typically 20 years. This monopoly allows them to set prices without competition, recouping the massive costs of research and development, and generating substantial profits. The key here is novelty and ownership. A patent is awarded for an invention, a unique synthetic molecule that didn't exist in nature before, or a new process to create it. You can own this molecule. You can control its production, its price, and its distribution. It becomes a proprietary asset, the bedrock of a blockbuster drug. But herbs? How do you patent a plant that has grown freely for millennia? How do you claim ownership of chamomile, or turmeric, or ginger? You can't. These are products of nature, part of our shared botanical heritage. Their healing properties have been documented in traditional medicine systems for centuries. Because they can't be exclusively owned, they represent a fundamental disruption to the patent-driven profit model. There's simply no room for a 20-year market monopoly on a plant anyone can grow in their backyard. This single economic reality is the primary reason the playing field is so uneven. Next, we encounter the wall of regulation. The modern drug approval system, epitomized by agencies like the Food and Drug Administration in the US, is a product of the 20th century. It was meticulously designed with a specific type of medicine in mind: single compound pharmaceuticals. The entire process, from preclinical studies to phase 1 or 2 and 3 clinical trials, is built to isolate one active molecule, test its specific effect on a specific biological pathway, and determine a precise, standardized dose. It's a reductionist approach, linear, predictable, and perfectly suited for synthetic drugs. But this system is fundamentally ill-equipped to evaluate traditional herbal medicine. A single herb isn't a single compound. It's a complex biochemical factory containing hundreds of active and synergistic compounds. This is what herbalists call synergy, the idea that the plant's therapeutic effect comes from the intricate interplay of all its components, not just one isolated molecule. Forcing a complex botanical mix into a regulatory framework designed for a single molecule is like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. The system often rejects it, not because it's ineffective, but because it doesn't fit the model. This creates immense barriers to mainstream medical acceptance. This brings us to the landscape of evidence. Proving a medicine works requires rigorous clinical trials, and these trials are astronomically expensive, often costing hundreds of millions, sometimes billions, of dollars. For a pharmaceutical company, this is a calculated investment, a necessary gamble to secure a patent and the blockbuster profits that follow. But for herbs, the economic equation collapses. With no patent to secure at the end of the process, where is the corporate incentive to fund a billion-dollar trial for, say, the calming effects of chamomile? The potential return on investment simply isn't there. This creates a massive funding gap. While government bodies and universities do conduct some research, their budgets are a tiny fraction of what the private industry spends. The result is an evidence landscape that appears sparse or inconclusive for many herbs. It's not necessarily a lack of efficacy, but a lack of the specific type of expensive, large-scale evidence that the modern medical system demands. The absence of evidence, in this case, is not always evidence of absence. If you're learning something new, like and subscribe to the channel. Let's look at a case study, St. John's wort. It's one of the most studied herbs for its potential effects on mild to moderate depression. Numerous studies, particularly in Europe where it's widely prescribed, have suggested it may be as effective as some standard antidepressants and often with fewer side effects. However, other large-scale studies, particularly in the US, have found it no more effective than a placebo. Why the conflicting results? It could be due to differences in the preparations used, the dosages, the severity of depression in study participants, or the trial methodologies themselves. This mixed evidence allows critics to dismiss it, while proponents point to its successful use. It perfectly illustrates the challenge. Without a unified, well-funded research agenda, the evidence remains fragmented, leaving both patients and doctors in a state of uncertainty. The same story plays out for countless other herbs, from echinacea for colds to ginkgo for memory. The funding gap leads to another systemic issue, the close ties between industry and academia. With private companies being the largest funders of medical research, their priorities naturally shape the scientific agenda. Universities and research institutions, in need of funding, often align their work with the goals of their corporate partners. This means research overwhelmingly focuses on patentable, synthetic drugs. This isn't necessarily malicious, it's a systemic bias, but it results in a feedback loop. Industry-funded studies on pharmaceuticals are published in prestigious journals. These studies are then promoted, shaping medical education and clinical guidelines. Public perception, in turn, shifts to view these heavily researched drugs as the only legitimate, evidence-based options. Meanwhile, research into non-patentable therapies like herbs languishes in the background, not because it's unworthy, but because it's unprofitable. The narrative of what constitutes valid medicine becomes skewed by the financial interests that fund the research. Now let's throw in the powerful influence of insurance companies. The healthcare system, especially in the United States, runs on reimbursement. Doctors prescribe and hospitals provide treatments that are covered by insurance. Insurance companies, in turn, create formularies, lists of approved, reimbursable drugs. These lists are almost exclusively populated with FDA-approved, single-compound pharmaceuticals. This creates a powerful downstream effect. The entire supply chain, from manufacturers and distributors to hospitals and pharmacies, is optimized to handle these reimbursable products. They are ordered in bulk, stocked reliably, and integrated seamlessly into the electronic health record and billing systems. For a hospital or clinic, it is simply more efficient and profitable to use a product that the system is built to accommodate. Herbal options, which are typically paid for out-of-pocket and exist outside this reimbursement ecosystem, are systematically squeezed out. They become an afterthought, relegated to a small section in the pharmacy, if they're stocked at all. Of course, the conversation about herbal medicine isn't complete without addressing legitimate concerns about safety and standardization. Because many herbal products are regulated as dietary supplements, not drugs, oversight can be less stringent. This can lead to issues with contamination, where products may contain heavy metals or pesticides. There can be problems with adulteration, where a product is bulked up with undeclared ingredients. Standardization is another major hurdle. The amount of active compound in an herb can vary dramatically depending on the soil it was grown in, the time of harvest, and the extraction method used. This makes consistent dosing a real challenge. Furthermore, herbs can interact with pharmaceutical drugs in dangerous ways. This is why guidance from a qualified professional, like a trained herbalist, naturopathic doctor, or knowledgeable physician, is absolutely essential. Self-prescribing without understanding these complexities can be risky. Ironically, the lack of funding and regulatory attention exacerbates these very safety issues. So, what is the path forward? It's not about abandoning modern medicine or demonizing pharmaceuticals, which have saved countless lives. It's about leveling the playing field. If we want a fair shot for herbal medicine, we must first demand better, unbiased funding for public research. We need government-backed, large-scale clinical trials for the most promising botanicals, independent of corporate interests. Second, we need smarter regulation. This means developing new frameworks that are actually designed to evaluate complex botanical mixtures on their own terms, recognizing concepts like synergy rather than forcing them into a system where they are destined to fail. This would also help solve the problems of safety and standardization, ensuring products are pure, potent, and properly labeled. And third, we need a culture of transparent research, where all trial data, positive or negative, is made publicly available. This allows for a more honest and complete scientific consensus to emerge, free from the influence of publication bias, where positive results are more likely to be published than negative ones. In the end, the push against herbal medicine is rarely about a lack of potential benefit. It's a systemic issue, a story of misaligned incentives. The current system is designed to reward what can be owned, what can be patented, and what can be maximally profited from. It is not designed to validate the remedies that grow in the earth, remedies that belong to everyone and no one. By advocating for fair funding, intelligent regulation, and open science, we can move toward a more integrative and honest approach to health, one that respects both the power of scientific innovation and the profound, enduring wisdom of nature. For more insights like this, please like and subscribe.